She's so fine. Hell of her blows my mind. Hell of her lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today is Friday, December the 23rd, 2022. This video, as you can tell, will be regarding the Shanquella Robinson case. Specifically, I want to discuss the recent episode of Crime Stories, which is Nancy Grace's podcast, that she did on December the 19th regarding the Shanquella Robinson case. Now, she had an amazing guest on there, and being that my major is criminal justice, I was very aware of who it was. Irv Brandt, and he's a former US Marshal. And like I've said before, I try to vet these people because it's very important to look at their experience to see if they're even credible to speak on such things. Because a lot of times people just get who they can get. Irv Brandt, former Navy torpedo man to law enforcement, served with the US Marshal Service for more than 20 years. Also, former member of the Atlanta Police Department, who was assigned to Centennial Park during the Olympics. He was also 50 feet away from the detonation in that park by Eric Rudolph during the Olympics that year. He tested for all positions with all the federal academies, was waiting for a call back from the DEA when the U.S. Marshal Service called him. One of his most famous cases was featured on America's Most Wanted, Jody Thompson, who escaped from prison, was on the run for more than 3 months. Victims said that Thompson can open a gambling machine quicker with a crowbar than staff could with the keys. He spent much of his career working with international cases. Says the U.S. Marshals conduct all international extraditions for local to federal agencies. He used to charter jets and bring home cartel members, a dozen at a time. Since retiring from the U.S. Marshal Service, he has become the author of the Jack solo thriller series. Once a warrant is issued, he says, the U.S. Marshal Service will continue looking for you until you are arrested or dead. Now, that's his quote. This man is highly qualified to speak on this case. After all, he did this for 20 plus years. Now, in this clip, and I have clipped it because this video will focus solely on the extradition process. I have another video that I'm going to do regarding the other stuff on Nancy Grace's podcast. But this video, it's important to vet these people. And the clip that I'm going to let you hear it leads off with Newsy, which is a news organization, and their broadcaster speaking, and they got a criminal defense attorney out of New York as their sort of legal expert, if you will, on this subject. And first of all, I've never heard of her, which doesn't mean anything, but Nancy Grace calls what she's saying BS, and she then refers to Irv Brandt, who clarifies and specifies exactly what this extradition process is. And that's why I say it's important that you know where this information is coming from. And Irv Brandt is highly qualified to tell us exactly what is going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to that clip now.
Mexican prosecutors said in a statement, Robinson's death was the result of a, quote, direct attack, not an accident. Mexican law enforcement has requested the suspect be extradited back across the border so she can face charges. That would require U.S. authorities to hand over an American citizen to a foreign government.
She is going to have to be extradited to Mexico. I do see that happening.
Deborah Blum is a criminal defense attorney in New York. Blum says while she expects the extradition to happen, it could be a process to get it done.
They're going to have their day in court where the person that's accused of this gets to say, I don't agree to extradition, and then they get to have a judicial hearing in front of the judge.
The FBI has also opened an investigation into Robinson's death.
Thank God in heaven the FBI is on it. Okay, everything you just heard by that lawyer it's a technical legal term. It's Latin. It's called BS. You might be familiar with that because Irv Brandt, joining me from the US Marshal Service, isn't it true? Extradition is not the killer's, quote, day in court. That's when you have a jury to determine if you're guilty or innocent. And extradition is real easy. Let's just pretend Jackie Howard over there is a killer, and I find her holed up under her mama's bed in Tennessee. I don't have a court hearing about guilt or innocence. I drag her to a Tennessee court, and in my other hand, I have an extradition. It's one piece of paper signed by the governor of Georgia saying Jackie is wanted for murder. All I have to do, Irv Brandt, is drag her from under her mom's bed to a courtroom in Tennessee and say, Judge, here's the governor's extradition order. This is Jackie Howard. And then the governor asks her, the judge asks her one question, are you Jackie Howard? If she says yes, she's gone on the next jail bus to Georgia. If she says no, then I get to do a fingerprint kit on her right there in court and show it to the judge. Then we put her on a jail bus to Georgia. It's not a trial. It's not really even a fact-finding process. It's just, are you Jackie? That's all it is. Agree, disagree, Irv Brandt?
No, I agree. The process, as you just laid out for state to state, is actually a good comparison to how it works internationally.
Why do you sound so calm? Why can you sound so calm? Or are you just like exhausted from all the murder, extraditions, and manhunts that you've been on all around the world?
Yes.
I mean, this girl got beaten dead, dragged out of bed, and hit in the head till she's internally decapitated.
Yes, Nancy. I served as the chief inspector at the Office of International Affairs for the DOJ.
Okay, in that case, let me formally apologize for anything that I just said because you clearly know a lot more than me. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll quickly run you through it. During my time at DOJ, at OIA, I supervised hundreds of these type of cases, just like you said. And when the warrant is issued and the suspect is identified, and a foreign government sends the request to OIA attorneys, their assistant United States attorneys, assign the case to the district where the suspect is in. In this case, it would be Charlotte, North Carolina. Then the AUSA there evaluates the evidence, the probable cause, which in this case seems fairly cut and dry. They have a video. Then they prepare it for a judge who evaluates if there's probable cause, and they issue an extradition warrant. Then that person is taken into custody, and just like you said, there's no day in court. They're not trying the case in Charlotte. They're going to try the case in Mexico. The only thing they're going to determine at that time, the first thing is that the person that the Mexican authorities want. It's basically an identity hearing. Then they'll determine if that person's going to be released pending the extradition process before they're returned to Mexico. They're not going to have a trial in Charlotte on a murder case. That's going to take place in Mexico.
Can I just answer that question really fast? HELLNO, once they get them in court, they're not going to be released pending extradition.
Highly unlikely.
They are getting on a bus to take them to a plane, to have them handcuffed on the plane and taken to Mexico.
Now, Nancy Grace then asked Irv Brandt, what is the holdup in this case on getting someone arrested? The holdup is not with Mexican authorities. The holdup is here in the United States. It's us that's dragging their feet on this process. And Irv Brandt then explains to her who is responsible for the arrest. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and cut to that piece now.
Who is responsible for the arrest? Charlotte PD? Irv Brandt, jump in. The FBI? Who should be arresting these people that were involved in her death?
Oh, Nancy, any law enforcement, once the extradition warrant is issued, any law enforcement agency can execute the warrant. It could be the local PD, it could be the FBI, it could be the US Marshal Service, and it more than likely will go to a task force made up of everyone that I just said to locate the fugitive and take them into custody.
If you have information about these so-called friends that stood by and watched, or the one that beat her till she's dead, 888-407-4747.
So now, in summary, the holdup is us, and the holdup is getting the extradition warrant signed by a U.S. district judge, and that's federal. Once that's signed, then we can get to arresting folks, okay? And I'm hoping that this process is at least halfway done or close to being done. And like Irv Brandt said, they more than likely will assemble a task force. And they'll probably call it something cute like Cabo 6, Take Down Cabo, something like that. And they will track down whoever the warrant or warrants, I'm hoping, for the latter, are for. And like Nancy said, they're probably already tracking them, but can't do anything because we have no warrant signed by Americans. We only have the Mexican warrant, and that's no good here. So they're probably very aware of where they are and what they're doing. And once that warrant is signed, I hope they can just walk right up to them and grab them. So I just wanted to bring this story about the extradition coming from someone who's done it personally, because I think that's very important. So please try to vet anyone that you're listening to, even from the news, because that criminal offense attorney in New York had no idea what she was even speaking on. So I'm going to end the video on that note, but I will be back with more from Nancy Grace's interview on her podcast. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night.